Hi! I'm going to talk today about small things you can do to make your costumes look truly professional. I have a 4-year degree in costume design and technology, so I'm going to share with you some of my best tips and tricks to help your work really stand out. The first thing, as you're working, always press your seams. This will make everything look so much smoother and neater. You can also use a scrap of muslin as a press cloth for more delicate fabrics. And you always want to test on a small corner of your fabric with the iron to see what it's going to do before just pressing your garment. Just in case the iron is too hot or something else might happen, it's good to know ahead of time how delicate you need to be with your iron. It's also important to have the proper undergarments, especially for historical wear. You want to make sure you have the right shape corset or stays or petticoats, bustles, anything that you might need underneath. If you're missing any of these, you're not going to be able to get the right shape for the time period, and something's always going to look a little bit off. Also, bigger isn't always better. Make sure you look at reference images of the type of garment you want to make and check if that super giant hoop skirt is actually what you really need. Sometimes you need something else and you want to look into that. Another thing that really helps is proper hats or hairstyles. Having nothing on your head looks weird and modern and completely throws off that walked out of a fashion plate look. So having the right kind of hat or making sure you style your hair in an appropriate way really elevates your costume to a whole new level. Even if you haven't added anything to your sewing, it really changes how much better you look. Same with shoes. Now, I'm absolutely not saying you need a period-accurate pair of shoes for every single outfit you make. I don't either. That's really expensive. For most historical periods with long skirts, a plain pair of black or brown boots will do just fine. I have a pair from Target that I wear for just about everything. They're just plain black boots, and they blend in, they're comfortable, and I think they're great. Anything like sneakers or obviously modern heels will look really out of place with your outfit and kind of detract from a complete look. That said, it's also important to make sure you're comfortable. Don't kill your feet just to have the perfect pair of shoes on. It's not worth it. Another thing that will help you is if you use the proper tools. Having a good sharp pair of scissors will just make it easier to get a clean cut as you're working. Also, having sharp needles is really important. You want to change the needle on your machine pretty regularly. Anytime it gets dull, if you hit a pin in between projects, you want to change it because a dull needle can snag and pull your fabric and it'll just ruin all of that hard work you've been doing when you've got that ugly line across your fabric from the needle snagging something. Another tip is when you're finishing edges on your garments, try out some hand sewing techniques. I prefer to use shaped facings or bias bindings to finish off bodices, and I hand sew hems whenever it's going to be visible if I did it by machine. I'm going to link some tutorials below, because nothing really throws off a beautiful costume like having machine top stitching all over everything. It just doesn't look quite as professional. So if you're up for trying a little bit more hand sewing, I really recommend it. Another thing that helps is making good fabric choices. This doesn't necessarily mean expensive fabric either. You just want to pick something that's in a suitable color for your time period. If you can, try to get a natural fiber. I have worn a printed cotton dress to a big ball and I still felt great. I couldn't afford to buy silk, but I found a nice cotton print that I really liked and I had a good time and it looked really nice. Absolutely try to avoid anything with a really high shine or anything with glitter, especially like the kinds you can get at Joann's, and I know sometimes that's all you have as your shopping option, but those really shiny fabrics just will always look like a Party City costume. No matter what you do, it's just not going to look quite accurate. So try to find things that have more of a natural look or a lower shine or sheen to them. The biggest factor that will really help make you look great is if you do a mock-up and fitting before cutting into your good fabric. I buy sheets from Goodwill to use as really cheap mock-up fabric, Unless you are really crazy pressed for time, always try to make time for a mock-up. It will save you a lot of time and frustration later when you can get out all of your issues on cheap fabric that you don't care about, and then you'll be able to just zip right through once you've cut out your actual fabric. If possible, have someone help you with your fitting. It's really difficult to fit by yourself. It's doable if you don't have another option, but fitting things before you finish them really helps a lot. You'll also want to take a few photos in your mock-up so you can reference them later when you're trying to make your alterations to your pattern. So you can go, oh, what did that look like? And, pull up your photos and see what you were doing. Also fit long skirts with the shoes that you plan on wearing to your event with your outfit. Because you don't want to be heading out the door, putting on your cute pair of boots with that 3-inch heel, and suddenly your skirt hem's way too high up because you fit your skirt with no shoes on. So it's really important to know what you plan to wear with it so you can make sure that your skirt will be the right length with the shoes that you're going to wear. You also want to do the same thing if you have a bustle or a panier or hoops. Anything that's going to affect the hang of your fabric is going to also affect where the hemline is. So you want to check that everything's level with everything underneath that you're going to need when you're getting dressed. After fittings, you always want to make a copy of all of your alterations to your paper pattern. And once you're all done, always save your pattern, put it in a labeled envelope, and then if you ever want to make something similar again, you already have a perfectly fitting pattern. It's ready to go. You can cut it out and just go with it. And I find that really helpful, or at least that this is something that fits really well. Even if you want to make changes to it, you have something that fits to start with. And these are all suggestions. There's absolutely no judgment if you do only some of these or none of these. Everyone is on their own sewing journey with their own goals. The most professional thing you can do as a costumer when you're at an event is to never, ever critique someone else's costume. Don't ever say, oh, well, if you only did blank, then you would look so much better. Nobody wants to hear that. Unless they explicitly ask for your advice, never, ever say anything like that. That said, assuming you clicked on this video looking for tips for improvement, I hope you found this helpful. Comment below if there's anything else that you think you would want suggestions on or that you want me to talk about, and have a good day.